What's up, everyone? This is Alex Hahn. I'm a Division I tennis player, and I will be attending Furman University. This podcast is called Within the Lines, where I'll be talking to successful athletes and people and talking more about the deep side of things. I'm here with the guest of Nicholas Heng, and he is my best friend, and he is going to be attending Auburn University. Was number 1 in the country, is a top 10 tennis recruit, and has aspirations of becoming pro. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Alex. Dude, this is crazy, man. Like, legit.
This is crazy.
A podcast, bro?
It's legit.
It's actually crazy.
This is crazy. But we'll jump into the questions and everything. For people who don't know, Nico, I'll ask him a little bit about his childhood. You know, how did you grow up? Like, how did you get introduced to tennis?
Started playing tennis because my 2 siblings grew up watching them play. Sister's 8 years older than me, brother's 4 years older than me, so just drew a little bit of inspiration from them, and just picked up a racket, fell in love with the game, and it's just how it goes, man.
Was it like just like a hobby at first, or did you like love it? Like as soon as you started playing, you're like, man, this is what I want to do, and like pursue it hard.
Dude, honestly, like I wasn't even like thinking about it, dude. Like I feel like at that age, you just go out and just play. Like you don't even think about it. But then, as time goes on, like you kind of just like, I don't know, you just start to like it in your own ways. You don't really play just because your parents make you play. Just kind of fighting a little bit of self-motivation to actually go out and play. And just, I'd say once I was like 11, 12, I started to actually like really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just like playing just because I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
One thing that, not many people will probably know is that you're from Alabama, even though you're training in Tulsa. But even when you were younger, you went to Spain at like age 10, 11. Mm-hmm. How was that experience right there?
Honestly, like I feel like I didn't improve that much, but it's like a really good experience going to an international country, being able to play, kind of experience a different culture. Was able to progress a lot more as a person than a player, I'd say. But I mean, it was just good as an experience, I'd say. I mean, I got to learn how to play on the clay and just kind of drew a lot of inspiration from being there. So when I look back, it was definitely a big part.
You were like by yourself too, right?
Well, yeah, it was boarding. So, it wasn't like, I wasn't like by myself. Like
you didn't have your mom.
No
Dude,
parents.
I'd be crying if I was like 10, 11.
Dude, I don't even know how I did it, honestly.
And then you came back from Spain, and then you heard about Tucker Tennis in Tulsa. How'd you hear that?
Well, I heard about Tucker from Paris, actually.
Oh, yeah, Paris.
So one of the coaches I trained with back home told my mom about Tucker, and I hit with one of the guys, Paris. So, they told me about it. So when I found out, I came here to try out for like 2 months or so.
Yeah.
And then I really liked it. I don't know. It was just a really good environment. It wasn't really like anything I've ever experienced before. A lot more like leadership and like a lot of passion with like Nathan and Pierce there at the time. So, I don't know. I just like after that had a pretty good summer. So
exactly. Yeah.
And then I just decided to come back. And then it's been the story ever since. So.
Exactly. Like, when I first met you, I was like, oh, dude, just, like, another kid, has a decent forehand. Dude was, like, cramping.
No
like,
backhand.
No backhand. And then we go to indoors, and I, like, barely beat you. And then...
Dude, you chopped me there, dude.
I actually played insane there. But then Winter Nats comes, and then you get 5th. And then as time goes on, you play intersectionals. I remember Trent told me you, like, won every match, singles and doubles. But in the summer, you weren't with us. You were just back in Alabama, so like I didn't really get to see you train and stuff. Next thing I know, you freaking win clay courts, and then get to the finals of hard courts, lose to like Jun Chang, that guy. And then you come back, and now you're just like, just a totally different player. You're just like at first I was just like, oh, just like another guy, and I'm like, holy crap, it's like one of the best tennis players in the nation. Like, what was going through your mind during that time? Like for me, I played so much when I was younger. So like I would be ecstatic if I broke the quarterfinals because in the previous years I didn't. And in 1 year, you like win one of the biggest tournaments in the world or in the nation.
Dude, honestly, like I was not even thinking about it at all. Like I honestly like Yeah, it was really cool, but at the time I didn't really appreciate that. Like it was sick. Like, wow, I just won, clays and then hards, but I wasn't giving it too much thought at the time. I just want to play Fortnite more than anything, honestly.
Like, you didn't know, like, after you won it, you're like, I'm one of the best players in the country. Like, like in the U.S., I'm one of the best.
Yeah, I didn't really like think about it all too much. Like,
you just like,
I was just playing, like, and I have no idea how it even got to that point, but it was definitely from being at Tucker for a year. I feel like helped me a lot. And then when I was at home, like, I would just like hit randomly. I wouldn't even work out. Like, I just find random people to hit with. Some of the adults, some of the players. And then, I don't know, I think it was just kind of one of those things where, like, you don't even have to, like, think about it. It just kind of all strings together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how it felt like in the moment, because I didn't feel like I was doing anything, like, extraordinary compared to, like, the stuff that we do now. Like, the dedication we have now to the game. Like, back then, I wasn't ever really thinking about it, and it just kind of connected. So, I don't know. Like, it was, I mean, looking back on those days, it was, like, I would just go out, play, just kind of enjoy it, compete, and it just all kind of happened, I wouldn't say I was working, like, incredibly hard or anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider you one of the hardest workers at the club or anything, but, like, one thing I definitely knew from watching you before you even got those results was, like, on the court, like, you freaking swing for the fences. Like, you don't necessarily play tight. You don't play necessarily conservative. Like, you go for your shots every point. And, like, what's your mental approach to, like, a match, and what made you want to play that way? Because a ton of people in, like, the 12s and 14s, they just, like, push. They just want to make balls to win, or they get nervous when they really want to win a match, so they kind of decel. Where when I watched you, you're just, like, freaking swinging for the fences.
Yeah, I would say, like, I kind of developed, like, for that 1 year at Tucker before those tournaments, I kind of figured out my game style. Like, I knew that I had a good forehand. Backhand was absolute trash. So I just would not depend on the backhand at all. Like, it was actually still solid back then, but I didn't really have that much confidence in it. So knowing I had the forehand, especially going into clays, like, I knew I could just get by if I had a good weapon. And I was a taller guy back then. Like, I've only grown, like, a few inches since then.
Yeah.
But I was pretty tall for one of the 14-year-olds, so I could outpower them and kind of play the way I did back then, just kind of swung after the ball. And, like, I don't know, I feel like I've always kind of had a mindset of, if you want something, you got to go after it. Mm-hmm. So I just swing, dude.
Yeah,
you just got to go after it.
You just got to swing, bro.
Yeah.
So now that you've gotten older, like, you just got into the finals of 18 and unders national clay courts, and you also played Junior US Open, took out 1 seed in qualies. Like, was that a more fulfilling? Like, was that, like, a different feeling going into the tournament for clay courts? Obviously, like, going to the Junior US Open is probably just, like, crazy, but, like, for clay courts, like, did you feel more pressure, or?
Honestly, going into 18s, the 18s clays, I didn't feel any pressure at all, because, like, I honestly wasn't expecting all too much, but I knew I could do a really deep run, because on paper, I was probably one of the highest UTRs, and I knew I had so much confidence on clay that I didn't really see myself losing any of the matches that I lost, or any of the matches that I played in general. Because I played so many guys that were younger than me, or guys, that by paper should not really be on my level.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about it all too much before the tournament. I was kind of like, this approach to the clays was a lot more professional. Like, I was training, like, really hard in the summer.
Yeah.
I was going pretty hard, doing a lot of work on the clay, which was, like, really, really helpful. Like, a lot of, like, kick wides, heavy forehand, stuff like that. And I worked with Matthias a lot on, not the backhand at all, just only the forehand.
Just
like,
forehand.
Because if the serve's there, if the forehand's there on the clay, then you don't really need this, because, like, you're just able to dictate so much. And that's just kind of what I focused on, just playing really solid clay court tennis. And getting to the finals of that tournament was really fulfilling, but I wouldn't say it was, like, satisfying, because I knew I had another year, and I know I can play at an even higher level at a tournament like that. So that's kind of what my goal is for this year, is to be able to win it. Just because I felt like I kind of went into that tournament, I was like, I'll give it my best shot, not necessarily like, I can do this. So, like, now that I have the confidence that I can do it, I know that, I can go there and just take it all. So, yeah. And it was just, final was
Final was not the best.
Final
It wasn't the best.
We won't talk about the final,
but we move. We
move. And then how was just like tell me the freaking Junior US Open?
Junior US Open was honestly it was so weird because before that I had like some of the worst losses I had all year. Kalamazoo was not pretty.
Yeah, Kalamazoo was tough.
College Park not pretty.
Yeah,
lost second round of qualies. So like going in to US Open, I had like no expectations for myself at all. I just kind of went out there and played, but just kind of stepping out onto that court, even though it wasn't at Flushing, it was in the Bronx. But I was on Stadium Court, and I just felt like really, really inspired. So that day, I felt like I played really inspired tennis and like played at some of the highest level, even though it wasn't like anything amazing. Like I felt like I was really satisfied with the way I competed, not necessarily the way I played. I felt like I competed really hard that tournament, and kind of a shame how it ended, but.
Yeah, you twisted your ankle.
Yeah, I twisted the ankle, but it was still so surreal because
got to see all the pros.
Got to see all the pros because got the second lucky. Did I tell you about the second lucky loser? No. So I got to go into the main site and swipe the card and everything.
Actually,
yeah, it was crazy. So that's when I watched like Ethan and like all those guys like so many times because like I was able to go in so as many days as I want after that because I got the second lucky loser.
Guy's so lucky.
Unreal.
Got to lose second round just to go to main draw. Well, it's good. So you had zero expectations. Like, you're going to the U.S. Open. Like, if I'm going there, I'm like, bro, I guess I would be like, anything can happen. But, like, if I was, like, a level of that caliber, I'd definitely have, like, expectation or a level of confidence for, like, coming in, you know? But you kind of went on in the match just, like, not really expecting, like...
I was not expecting much, mainly because I had so many rough tourneys before that. But I knew I was still playing good tennis. Like, I knew I could really do damage. Mm-hmm. And what kind of really inspired me was honestly seeing some of the other American guys, like, in the singles, like, seeing, like, Ethan and Samir and, like, Ryan and Alex were all in there. And I was like, you know, they're not necessarily, like, a better player, but, you know, at the time their level was probably, like, a little bit higher than mine. But I knew it was so, like, in reach, like, being able to make main draw, that I just got like really inspired when I was playing. So it was kind of surreal, honestly, just like because growing up playing tennis and then like wow, I'm at U.S. Open.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, but
any like what's like been like one of your lowest points in terms of like tennis, where like any moments where you're like, man, I want to hang the rackets up, like I really don't want to do this, or you kind of doubted your level?
Yeah. Lowest points, because you know there's so many ups and downs.
Yeah, there's a ton.
But the one I most vividly remember was the year after I won Clays and Hards. You know, like the indoors wasn't pretty, the winters wasn't pretty, and then played Clays, lost second round. You were watching that match with Matthias.
Oh yeah. You kind of had like a.
I was breaking down. I wasn't working my hardest, you know, and that catches up with you. As a tennis player, especially going into 16s and 18s.
16s, 18s, the physicality is just
the
like
physicality,
next
the level. Yeah. Everyone's getting taller, stronger. So the people that work the hardest in those divisions are definitely the ones that are, you know, improving a lot.
Yeah.
So that kind of caught up to me, and I didn't really, you know, realize it. I wouldn't say I was really enjoying the game either. It was like kind of wanting like a really good result without putting any of the work into it, and I didn't realize that at the time because like. I thought I was just like, you know, I was just doing what I've always done my whole life, honestly.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working, and had so many expectations from being like a winner in the year before in 14s and then going into 16s that I felt like, I don't know, I was just like really sad. And then, so after that Clays, I was thinking of just pulling out Kalamazoo and just taking a really long break. But parents, you know, just like, kind of convinced me to play.
Yeah.
Kind of told me just to have fun, and same with like Trent and Matthias. So I remember going into Kalamazoo, it was just like, it was weird because I was told just to have fun. So if you think about it, you know, I'm gonna go out court and just, you know, mess around.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was like fighting like so hard. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, why am I fighting so hard?
This is when you were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. Oh no, this is when I was 15.
15.
Yeah. And then I was like, why am I fighting so hard? Like I'm just trying to have fun. And then, you know, that's just kind of when I realized, like, you know, I'm having fun when I'm like competing my hardest. You know? Competing my hardest, like, you know, no expectations, you know, just trying to have fun, but I'm not having fun if I'm losing. So no, I think that's what every competitor kind of realizes. And then after that moment on, I had like a pretty iffy fall as well, and then I kind of realized that, like, you know, I don't want to fall behind like my whole life. So, and that I'd say in that fall of like 2019, I kind of started to pick up the reins and just like
work a lot harder, more dedicated and stuff like that.
Yeah, I started to feel like it was kind of like a more of like a mindset flip. I was like, you know, if I just start working like an animal, I'm gonna get such unreal results. Which obviously isn't how it is, but when I was like starting to work harder, I started to feel a lot more confident in myself. Yeah, and started trying to do more of the right stuff. Yeah. Which obviously in turn with the confidence, like, you know, boosted my level. Yeah. And one of the hardest things was kind of realizing that, like, just because you're working so hard doesn't mean your level is going to improve. Mm-hmm. It was just like a matter of just accepting that, but just accepting the fact that it's going to take a lot of time and patience and a lot of hard work just to get to a high level. Yeah. Because before, you know, my level would be able to go so high. Like in the 12s and 14s, I wouldn't say so high, but like pretty high for that age division.
Yeah, I mean, you got from like 800 to like number one in like a span of like 3 months or something like that, you know?
Without even like really feeling it. Like I felt like I wasn't doing anything special. And then here I'm like working like a dog, just trying to get like my tennis recruiting up one spot. And I'm like, dude, like trying to get my UTR up like 0.05.
Yeah. But it's like you understand that now, that it's like it's kind of harder now to improve just a little bit. Yeah. So like, what do you kind of tell yourself whenever it's like, you know, you put in a couple good weeks of training, but you're still kind of struggling, and like what do you kind of tell yourself, like you're not really seeing those results that you want to see, but like, you know, you're kind of doing a lot, like you're working hard, you think you're doing the right things, like kind of.
I don't know, because like that's a really tough spot, because when you're working so hard, you know, and the results aren't there, you're kind of like, you know, you lose confidence in yourself, and you're like, you know, why am I actually doing this? But you just got to know that it'll pay off in the long run, you know, like like the things you do, the way you represent yourself, you know, like tennis is self-expression, so
self-expression,
it's self-expression, dude. So if you're, you know, expressing that you're a hard worker and that you're willing to do what it takes just to improve, even if it's a little bit, you know, shows a lot about character, which is, you know, like the reason why you're able to go to Furman and get you know, such a good offer, because
for sure
it's not results. Like, I mean, results matter, but they're not 100% of everything at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I would say a lot of like the reason why I was able to get into Furman was not a lot from like, especially past couple of years, not my results, but definitely I think my other things. I think I'm fairly professional and try to do my best. And I think that like the character and stuff like that comes a long way, not just like off the results, but like kind of how you feel about yourself when you go to bed and stuff like that. Yeah. So, and I think like you've made a huge jump, to be honest. Like you're much more dedicated. You're telling me to journal and meditate and stuff like that. So it's a big flip. But how has like tennis affected you like off the court? Like was there like, were you more confident off the court as a person, or was it kind of, you still feel like you're the same, or like has it kind of?
Honestly, I feel like I've always been pretty confident on and off the court. But tennis is kind of like, it translates into everything else, I'd say. Yeah. Like the way you represent yourself. If you present yourself as like, you know, hard worker, you know, like how do I say this? But like, you know, if you represent yourself the way you want to represent yourself, that's kind of how you'll even be off the court too, in some senses. I'd say.
No, 100%.
But tennis, I mean, dude, affected our lives so much. Like our personalities and everything. Yeah. To the point where I would say it's even hard to say, you know, like who even are we? Like
it's definitely tough to say since we've been homeschooled and have been training. Like I don't think like a lot of people understand the dedication of just being a Division I tennis player. I mean, I think we've been playing for like 3 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, playing tournaments on weekends since we were 10. Yeah. You know, and we're still not even in college yet. So it's like it's taken up a lot of our time, and it's like we spend a ton of time there. So it's crazy, but that's one of the biggest things I want to talk to you about. How you say you've always been from like, was it you has it just always been in you since you were little? Like, did your parents kind of develop that in you? Was there kind of like a light bulb moment of like where you get your confidence? Because I think like that's probably one of your best qualities. Like, I just think you're just so confident in yourself. Like, and I think that shows on the court.
I don't know. Like, I feel like when I start to like something, I start to put a lot of time and effort into it. You know, with like gaming and like stuff like that. Like, I don't know, because like, so whenever I do something now, I feel like I want to be the best at it. And you know, when you're the best at something, you feel really confident. So that's just kind of how it is. I don't know. I would say my parents are pretty confident people with who they are. You know, they've never been like ashamed of who they were or, you know, anything they've done. So that's kind of something that I'd say that they taught me. So, I would just say I've always been pretty confident. Even when I was not like at a high level, like when I was like 11, 12, like I always knew I was pretty good at tennis. So it was like more of a matter of just tapping into it. And like even when I step onto a court now, like there aren't many times where I feel like I'm 100% going to lose this match. Like honestly, I don't really feel that at all.
Yeah.
Even if someone's level is way higher than mine, it's just, I don't know, but there have been a lot of dips, I'd say, sometimes in the self-confidence that can kind of catch up to you, because it's crazy, you know, how mental of a sport tennis is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm losing my voice, dude.
Yeah.
But like, I would say a lot of the bad patches that I've had in tennis were mainly because I lost a lot of confidence just after like a string of losses. Like, I would say like last November, playing like a few PTTs in Atlanta, I had a couple like not pretty matches, and I lost a lot of confidence there. And I was just like contemplating, like, you know, a lot of the stuff that I like, you know, is tennis even it for me, you know, stuff like that. And that's all just because of a few losses. But I would say it's just like, you know, it takes time, it takes patience. You just gotta, you know, recognize that in the moment. And that's why like a lot of the journaling and meditating stuff like now has helped me, because whenever there's a dip in the confidence, it can kind of just like bring it back together.
100%.
Just like the whole mental state. So that's what it does for me. So I haven't really been feeling that as much, but you know, the dips in self-confidence are always there for any tennis player, I'd say, just because, you know, we lose confidence.
Yeah, it's tough. All right. For like a kid that wants to improve, right, but they're, you know, 12, 13 years old, they have so much time, like what would you tell them?
You just got to enjoy the game, you know. If you're not enjoying the game, then you don't really have a reason to play, especially at such a young age. And I would say setting goals is one of the most important things for a player at any level. If you really want to achieve something, getting like a sheet of paper and writing a goal down is like a definite way of being like, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to chase. And it's not like people work hard for the sake of working hard. It's for the sake that they want to, you know, achieve their goals. And when you write it down, you have a clear vision. When you're tunnel vision about it, you know exactly what you want, and you're going to work for it, you know. And that's, you know, probably one of the hardest things I'd say with tennis is like walking out onto a court and not having a purpose, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what happens sometimes to a lot of players, because the routine, you know, the training's like every day, you know.
Every day it's kind of the same. It can be very monotonous.
Very monotonous, yeah. So just kind of finding your purpose as a player. And, you know, writing goals, like, you know, you could have a goal for each week, each day, for a year, a month, you know, long-term vision goal.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to always know exactly what you want, because if you're not expecting anything from yourself, you're not going to get anything from yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, for sure. No, I definitely like that point of view saying of like you need to have something to chase. I think that like really relates to life in general. You know, when I was in Florida from like age 16, 17, I definitely had doubts and like had moments where I got really low to the point where, like, man, I didn't really want to play tennis. And I took about like a month, couple weeks off, and I was like not doing anything. And I kind of just woke up and I was just like, man, like, I thought this would feel great. Like, I don't have to go out and practice. I don't have to work hard. I don't have to feel the pain of running sprints. I don't have to feel, the pain of breathing hard and the pain of, messing up when you've been practicing a certain shot or something and you've been wanting to improve. Like all that, I didn't want. I felt like I would feel great not doing that, but then you kind of don't feel much better about yourself if you're not really chasing anything. So now that I'm working harder now and have something to chase, like it's a lot more gratifying, and it's like I think that's how life is. Like there's no good without the bad, and like so I think it's big to set goals like you said, and like yeah, I know for sure, yeah.
This is staying.
No, it's not.
This is staying in. That is staying in. That is staying in. You have to.
That is not staying in.
You have to.
Bro, that is not staying in, dude. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting toward the end of the podcast, so I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. What's your mental approach to match? Like before a match, like what are you thinking?
It differs. It honestly differs. It's different throughout the year, but I would say right now, if I were to go into a match, I would just think about how I just want to beat this guy, Like a lot of strategy, confidence, because you know how there's that one saying, how like, before you step out onto a court, like 70% of the match is already decided.
Yeah.
So just going into a match and having genuine belief that you're going to win, like a lot of positive self-talk stuff, and then being able to recognize when you're kind of doubting yourself and being able to turn it into something positive. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff recently, like positive self-talk, just kind of hyping myself up, kind of telling myself, yeah, I'm going to beat this guy, I'm going to do this, and that, and like, some visualizing stuff so I can actually execute it when I get on court. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I also think it's really important to stay pretty professional, know exactly what you want without having to think about it. Like when you're on the court and what you want to accomplish in a match. Yeah, I would say that's probably my mental state.
What do you think is like your biggest strength? Like, what do you think is the reason for the success or the level that you've achieved of tennis? Like, what do you think has been the biggest reason for you?
Yeah, before I would say it was beforehand, but now I would say it's a lot more of like I feel like I have kind of a competitive edge over some of the other people I play, because not everyone's competitive in nature.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to talk about. Like we would when we play video games, like when we play Super Smash Brothers, dude. Like if I beat you, you're literally throwing your controller. Like you literally hate losing to the point where it's like it's bad. Like what makes you that competitive? Because I'm competitive to a certain point. Like I don't mind losing, like if it's a stupid video game, but like you take it like you can't lose in anything. So like what is that?
Dude, I couldn't even tell you. I feel like that's just natural, dude.
It's natural.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like losing at things, especially video games, mainly because I've done so much of that stuff.
Yeah, you care about it a lot.
Yeah, I do care about it a lot, but
even like when we did putt or something, or like even when we play basketball, you're like really, really serious, even though you suck.
dude, but like I just hate getting. Okay, one thing I hate is like getting trash talked, bro. It gets me so mad, dude.
No,
like
I
when
agree.
Luke Brax is telling me I'm trash when I'm missing a free throw, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna destroy this guy. Like honestly,
but I think that's been really huge for success. Like you hate losing no matter what it is, so it doesn't matter whether it's the first round of the lowest tournament or it's the U.S. Open. Like you kind of have that same mindset of just like you hate losing. I think that's really good. That's really cool. What are your other hobbies? What do you enjoy?
So as you know, my teacher here, Alex, has taught me how to play the ukulele.
Yeah,
so
baby. Let's go.
I've been getting into that. I like playing video games, honestly, but obviously in moderation because it's very time consuming, honestly, and not that healthy to look at a screen all too much. But I do enjoy that. And I like reading. But I'm not like that motivated when it comes to reading. I'm not like going to a park and reading a book. It's just like, before I go to bed, I like to read a few pages and then go to sleep. But I would say that. But I honestly want to get into more like, pretty healthy hobbies. Like I think ukulele is a really good one. I think reading is another good healthy hobby. But just kind of finding some drive in something else as well, and then putting a little bit of time into it every day can be pretty good mentally.
Yeah.
when you actually enjoy something, you'll improve at it, even if you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, it's cool. Like the other hobbies, like when we talked about earlier, like the progress of seeing that. When we're so focused on our progress in tennis, it's cool to see like whenever I played basketball a ton, like I saw my little progress, and I was like, bro, I'm going to the NBA. I'm not playing tennis anymore, dude. I'm going to the NBA. But no, having those hobbies is very, very good. So what made you choose Auburn University, like out of all the colleges that you could go to? Because I mean, you were talking to some high ones.
There's a lot of reasons I chose Auburn. But dude, I love the coaches. You know,
Yeah.
I talked to you about that. Like the coaches there, you know, Coach Bobby, Coach Chris, they're just amazing guys, and I feel like they're very different personalities, and they were a really big factor, I'd say, when it came to my decision at the end. But there's also, you know, other reasons. It's in-state, so it's significantly cheaper than some of the other schools I talked to because, you know, they're out of state, and, you know, it's not like I'm getting full rides everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's SEC as well.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know, the
Unreal
highest
competition.
like probably like the strongest conference when it comes to tennis. So competition's amazing, you know, and it's really close to home.
Do you like that, or do you kind of wish you maybe gone a little farther away from the parents?
No, honestly, like before I would be like, yeah, dude, I'm going to California.
Yeah.
but now I've been away from home so long that I honestly like wouldn't mind going to school back home. Because it's always nice, you know, seeing my parents and also, you know, sister's going to residency in Alabama, and then my brother's going to med school in Alabama, so I'm really close to them. So, you know, the whole family's in Alabama now. So
What are your like aspirations when you get there? Like, what are your goals? What are you gonna study?
Now, the study part, you know, I've probably decided on this like 15 different times. It was like culinary science, and then political science, and I even considered like maybe going to like, you know, I don't know, acting or something like that.
Dude,
I don't know.
Next Squid Game.
Next Squid Game. But I don't know. My goals academically, I would say, are to do well, just not screw up all too much. But my goal is as a player. You know, Auburn's not historically the greatest program, but, you know, winning NCAAs is like, it's the dream. It's something that I really want to do.
Is that like the only goal, or do you have like goals for your freshman year? Like you want to do this? Like
for freshman year, I want to just, you know, play at the highest level I can, you know, and I think I can really play at a high SEC level.
no, for sure.
That's my goal without a doubt. So I would really want to do really well. I'm planning on doing really well this summer and in the fall, and then going into the spring, you know, being able to be like, you know, undisputed, like, you know, I'm one of the best guys on the team. That's kind of the goal. That's just something that I want. Because I want to play, you know, I really, really want to play.
This guy's pumped for the
Yeah,
college.
I'm so
excited.
excited.
Pumped.
But yeah, I want to win NCAAs as a team and also win NCAAs as an individual. Probably not going to happen freshman year, if I'm being honest, but we'll get there. It takes time.
Yeah,
so
it takes time, bro.
And you know, I kind of want to take my goals one step at a time. Obviously, like being pro would be really, really cool. But obviously, as of now, if I were to go pro, it'd be pretty unrealistic. But I want to see how my level is after college. You know, if I can play at the highest college level and be able to succeed, you know, why would I not be able to do it? You know, at a pro level?
Would you go all 4 years? Even let's say like your junior year, you're like winning 15Ks or something or
I would say I do.
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing all 4 years regardless, just because like I want to get a degree.
Yeah.
You know, putting it off is like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to have to do undergrad when I'm 28 years old. Dude.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just it's not the greatest.
And you're gonna want to go pro. Like you're gonna definitely try.
I'm gonna definitely try.
Yeah.
100%.
That'd be sick.
But you know, it's tough. It's, you know, everyone wants it just as bad, but you just gotta want it a little bit more.
Gotta want a little bit more, baby. Want a little bit more. I think that wraps it up for the first podcast. Thank you, Nico.
Dude.
For
Thank you, Alex.
No, you're welcome.
Give me a handshake here.
Thank you, sir.
It's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
This is the first of many, and hope you guys can watch the next episode. Thank you.